What's made Sean Clifford so successful in the 2-minute drills? And at this point, is he in that number 2 position, or is that still a competition?
I think it's safe to say Sean's our number 2 quarterback. I think a lot of it is just his mental makeup in terms of, we saw it in the Cincinnati game, in terms of his ability to rebound, and the game's not too big for him. So I think when the moments are at their highest, which is typically in your 2-minute situations, it's just he's out there calm, cool, and collected.
How difficult was the task for Alex to be signed and learn a new playbook coming right into camp? And what have you seen him and how he's navigated that?
Yeah, I think it's extremely difficult. I mean, you're not holding anything back in regards to installing your offense, and but I do think that he's worked extremely hard and he's done a really nice job of picking it up. And it's just one of those. He hasn't probably gotten as many reps as we'd like to give him, and that's always one of the toughest things is how do you get 3 quarterbacks reps. It's really tough when we had 4 quarterbacks for a while, but I think he's done as good as he could with those limited reps that he's gotten. With Sean being a rookie quarterback, naturally you're going to give more reps to your number 2 guy. So it's just kind of the situation we've been in, but I think he's handled it as best he could.
You talk often, Matt, about trying to learn what these guys do best and how you can utilize those talents. I mean, is these 5 weeks giving you a really good idea about the likes of Reed and Musgrave and what they do and how they can help?
Yeah, I think so, but I think there's still a lot of growth in front of both those players. They're very early, obviously, in their careers, and hopefully they have long careers. And but that's just we'll try to keep force feeding them as much as they can handle.
With one preseason game left, do you like where this team is at this point in the summer?
That's a hell of a question that I never know how to answer that question. So I'm not going to answer the question.
And are you still planning on playing Jordan and the starters some Saturday?
Yeah, they're going to play. They're going to play. But back to that, because I don't want to, do you like that? I like the attitude of the team. I like the competitiveness of the team. But, I mean, it's just it's hard to answer those questions. We haven't played a real NFL game. I mean, the preseason's, yeah, it's a good barometer, but you're not going against everybody's top talent all the time. And a lot of guys that are playing, especially later in those games, shoot, some of these guys won't even be on your roster. So that's always a tough question. I think, you get a true indication once you get not even early in the season, as the season progresses. And a lot of it is how do you handle adversity and how do you handle when things aren't going your way, and you much like a season ago, you hit a skid and you're losing a bunch of games in a row, and do you have the resiliency to bounce back from that? So, but as far as the attitude and just the competitive spirit of the team, yeah, I love them.
Matt, when do you want to know who that second starting safety is going to be week 1 by?
Yesterday.
So do you know already who it is?
I think we got a pretty good indication, but there's still more, football in front of us. We've got obviously a practice today. We've got a game, and it could be pretty fluid throughout the course of the year. I mean, you never want to just say, "Hey, this is it." I mean, guys are going to compete, and they're going to, continue to learn and grow, and hopefully it's a competitive situation throughout the course of the season. And that's not just with that position. That's got to be everybody's position. That's got to be the mindset. That's how you improve and get better. As soon as you get complacent, somebody's going to pass you by.
Matt, you've been pretty consistent on the need for Jordan and the offensive starters to play on Saturday. Do you feel the same way about the defensive side, or are you going to shut those starters down for week?
No, everybody will play. As far as how many snaps, it could be case by case. Again, it's going to be more of a gut feeling, I would say, on my part, where we're at. But I do think there's a lot of value in the fact that we're getting ready for a noon kickoff. It's be that I know week 1. Is that a noon kickoff?
No,
Okay, well, hey, it's earlier than 7 o'clock. And after that, I couldn't tell you when we play. But, so just getting mentally and physically prepared for an early kick, which I know we've got some noon games, I think there's a lot of value in that.
Do guys in the bubble cut themselves or make the team on the final preseason game, or do you take the whole body of work?
I think you take the whole body of work, but obviously that's the most recent game is, it still has a big factor into some of those decisions, for sure.
How about Rich called Luke?
You keep getting interrupted.
I sure.
He's got to speak up.
Well, he's never interrupted anybody. Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
Sounds so,
I'm gonna
like some
take this
resentment
one.
there, Rob.
He resents everyone. Rich called losing.
Shots fired all over in here. I was gonna say,
You think it's
y'all
chippy
need to
out?
go get a beer together or something.
Anyways, Rich called losing Tyler Davis like losing your right-hand man. Have you found any of these young guys yet that can kind of replicate that gritty work that Tyler would do?
I think it's a work in progress, and I think it's gonna be the collective that's gonna have to pick that up. Anytime you lose a guy like that, and it's, you know, it's a big loss. It's a bigger loss for us. We feel it more than probably anybody outside of that locker room.
How much of the increased snaps, to follow up on my question a couple ago, is from just having a young roster, and how much is it from what you've maybe learned the past couple of years and how your team's entered week one?
Yeah, I think both. I think it's, you know, a byproduct of having some younger players at certain positions, and also just going through and not performing the way you'd like to in week one in certain instances. And it's not just, you know, one position or anything like that. It was pretty, there's a couple that stick out in my mind. But yeah, I just think you always learn, grow, and you try to get a feel for where you're at as a football team and what your team needs. And so that's kind of how we make our decisions.
Go ahead, Wes. I know it's pretty obvious what Preston gives you as an edge rusher, as a pass rusher, but how integral has he been in terms of what you guys have built here the last 4 years with, you know, the chemistry and just kind of the culture with the locker room?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. I think he's very consistent in terms of he's always available. He's a guy that I don't know how many games he's missed, but is it one? I couldn't even. When was that?
It was the quad game a couple years ago.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now it's coming back to me. But yeah, he's always there for us, and I do think that, you know, as he's gotten older and more mature as a player, he's taken on more of a leadership role, and I think he's had a great camp. I just love how he's running the football, and you know, I think he's doing a good job leading.
If I can ask about two players for Saturday. First, Jordan. No. I'm going to anyway. With Jordan, is it X number of plays, series, a certain number of concepts that you want to get before none of those things? It's just totally how you feel?
It's my gut, Bill. It's my gut.
And Rashawn, will he play?
RG will not play. So.
You've been a few years removed from it, but would you ever consider going back to the whole dorm setup type of thing, or do you think that's past, at least in your tenure, kind of looking back at things?
You say at St. Norbert?
Yeah, just that whole setup. I know most teams 29-7 don't do that.
Well, we had them held up in a hotel for a couple weeks here, which I thought was good, just to get those guys together. And then that kind of, once we left for Cincinnati, we came back. It was just, there was a certain number of players, you know, mostly the younger players that are still in the hotel, so, or were in the hotel. But I don't ever want to box myself in to a certain decision. Every year is a different feel, and you know, so we'll see.
Caleb Jones he's missed some time here. Where do you think he's at here in year two?
Who's that?
Caleb Jones.
Yeah, I think he was having a really good camp. It's been unfortunate that, you know, he had an injury, but I think he's coming back with the right mindset, and I'm excited to see him this weekend.
Back to safety, you've started everybody's gone with it once, you know, basically at one point or another. Now you're back to Rudy. What have you liked about him the last 3 days? Presumably he's the guy you're talking about, where you have a feeling that he's the guy?
Well, he's done a nice job. I think he's going out there and executing his responsibility. He's playing physical and, trusting what he's seeing and playing fast. And he's done a really nice job. Communication's a big part of that position, making sure that everybody's on the same page. And I think he's handled that pretty well. So hopefully he can put together another good practice today and then go out there and compete in the game at a high level.
Do you feel like the competition at punter is coming down to the stretch here?
Yeah, I think it's been, both those guys have done an outstanding job. Obviously Pat's been punting for a while now, and he's done a great job, but I think it's been good for both of the guys.
This must happen every year in camp. When you get to this last week, that you see rookies, undrafted players that after 15 practices and 4 or 5 weeks, it's starting to click. And now you figure this is their best opportunity Saturday. I mean, does that factor into your decisions on snaps?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think, we go into it every game with an idea of what we are trying to see, and I think that's why it's so important that in terms of the communication with myself and Goody, making sure everybody's on the same page, making sure that we get the proper evaluation and put guys in a position where we get questions answered, quite frankly.
I know you guys are still trying to replace Tyler Davis. With what you want to do at the tight end position, would 3 be too light for what you want to conceptually do, or is that a number you're comfortable with?
Well, I think in this profession, you always got to be willing to adjust and have to be able to adjust. And we're lucky that we have other pieces on our team, and we're pretty deep at the wide receiver position. So we'll adjust as need be. And shoot, we've used offensive linemen there in the past as well. So that's something that's not totally off the table.